Hello.
Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. See, it's so awkward for us because we podcast and then we podcast again. So it's like, oh, hi. You have to do this weird, awkward greeting.
But it's really us saying hi to our audience, our little, tiny, loyal audience.
That we love and cherish every day.
Yes.
Thank you so much for returning and listening to our program because we do enjoy putting it on for you guys because you are loyal fans of ours. We want you to keep coming and we would like for you to spread the word.
Yes, we'd appreciate that very much. Tell everyone, Creatures of the Night podcast. You've got to check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah. And your name is Chris.
I'm Chris, and your name is?
It's Wendy.
Yeah, we've got the #1 paranormal show on interterrestrial. What is it called when you're on a podcast? Podcast.
Podcasts.
So thanks for joining us again, guys. We've got some interesting stuff to talk to you about, right, Wendy?
I don't know. How do you know what I'm going to say? Maybe it's not interesting. Maybe it's boring. Maybe I don't even have a story for you.
That would be interesting. We just spitball the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. But this week, I just realized, and we record this in advance, so it's hard for us to keep up with this kind of stuff. But this morning, I just realized that this episode will come out the week of Thanksgiving.
Yay!
Yeah, and I don't have a Thanksgiving themed podcast for you, whatever that would look like. I don't really know, but I thought I'd at least ask you what your plans for Thanksgiving are. Even more importantly, since we're greedy Americans, for Black Friday, what do you plan on doing? But no, you cook for Thanksgiving, right? You're a good cook. You make a whole spread, don't you?
Yes, we are big on the Thanksgiving Day meal here. We like to do a turkey. We do an injector. We do the bag in the oven, but we also like to season the turkey and we put it in there with some green peppers and some onions, and that bitch comes out so juicy and so fucking good. You cannot stop picking at it all day long. It is so good. And then we'll do, the regular stuff, cornbread stuffing and some green bean casserole, gluten-free, of course, some gravy, some mashed potatoes, some sweet potato casserole. There's only 3 of us, and I will have so much food. It's ridiculous. Just because I can't stop. It's a tradition. I mean, I think that's for every American. Family traditions always involve a lot of food, and that's just how it's always been, and if there's somebody, I guess, at my workplace that don't have anywhere to go for Thanksgiving, well, I'll have plenty of food, so they'll be over at my place, I guess. The thing about Thanksgiving is it's supposed to be that time, where you open up your heart to those that are less fortunate and you're thankful for the things that you have. As a matter of fact, it's funny that you said that you didn't realize that this one was coming out on Thanksgiving, because I also forgot that on the last episode that I just did, which was Lent themed for a reason. I love Wendy so much that I wanted to do something different for Thanksgiving. Instead of doing a story about cannibals, I decided to do a story that she would appreciate.
Well, you did the cannibals earlier this month.
I did. I threw it. I stuck it in there.
Can't help it. But, it's funny that you talk about the meaning of Thanksgiving and stuff, all holidays, and Thanksgiving being one of the big ones. It was just a time that the whole family got together. Now I live so far away, but every once in a while I've gone back home. And then one year I even came out to your house for Thanksgiving, and that was fucking awesome. New England really knows how to set the mood for Thanksgiving.
We do our best.
We had a beautiful Thanksgiving when we came there.
Yes, it was so awesome. It was beautiful.
Ridiculous. Seeing wild turkeys and
I know, I loved that. Big motherfucking turkey.
That little downtown, and then these just giant ass turkeys just blop, 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 blop. These are my streets.
Right. We saw the signs for turkey dinner. We came a-coming. Where's the turkey dinner?
That's hilarious.
You mean...
Oh, never mind. But they were vicious and ready to defend themselves, so I wouldn't worry too much about them.
No, but my husband was like, Wendy, don't, Wendy, don't. And Wendy's like, I just want to take pictures. And he's like, get away from the turkeys, back up.
I live with rattlesnakes and scorpions, so I'm just like, fuck this turkey. I'm getting as close as I want. Say cheese. It was a cool time. I really loved Thanksgiving at your house. Pretty much that's all I think about with Thanksgiving is it's a time to get together with your family, and that's just what it is to me. It's food and family, and that's it.
2 seconds.
No. I mean, please take care of the fire in your house. What did it burn?
My poster and possibly my wall.
That is fucking insane.
I'm so sorry.
Stop apologizing to me. You almost just burnt your house down.
That would not be the first time. Well, the bee's gone on my poster. That's a bummer.
That is a bummer.
Isn't that fucking weird that that's the night that I did the fucking Lemp cemetery story, that my poster is now on fire?
This whole thing is odd.
So I need a new candle.
And a new poster. So we have to go back to St. Louis.
Yes, we do. Oh my God.
Because you couldn't possibly order them online, I'm sure. You probably can.
I'm sure.
I'm going to order you a poster, but I want you to just cut out that part and like just put it over it.
Like a patch.
Yeah, just patch it.
That is so fucking funny, man. I just want to make sure nothing else is burning back here.
No, and also snap a picture of that shit.
Okay.
Setting the house on fire with this amazing
Ooh.
podcast.
Well, the good thing is that it smells very woodsy over here now.
Like that drywall and paper smell. Love it.
I love it. That is not the first time. I set so many fires. I am the worst person when it comes to like open flames. Damn. I mean, it's because I'm a witch. The fire is attracted to me. That's how I apparently died in a past life, right? According to my dreams.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, there's something with me and fire, man. It's bad.
We were sitting outside in front of a fire. I wanted to burn these wishes, whatever. Mm-hmm. It was a witch thing. And it was like quite a few of them. And I was like, what do I do? Just, I think the wind was blowing a little bit. And Carl was like, this is not a good idea.
Oh, no.
And I was like, no, I'll just toss it in towards the bottom. They just flew out.
Oh, shit.
All on fire. Like,
oh, no.
And he's like, you're going to set the desert on fire. And I was like, I'm sure it's fine.
You sure it's fine?
I didn't, so that's good. But that was fucking crazy. So let's get on with this whole podcast thing, you know?
Cool. I love podcast things.
And talk about some dark shit.
Oh, ooh, yeah. I love dark shit.
So in my last podcast story? What?
You know, it's about fish. It's a fish story. The codcast. How do you like your codcast? I like to season mine with some salt, a little black pepper. It's delicious.
I like mine fried, fish and chips. So in my last podcast story, I talked about getting the chance to tour the infamous Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California. But the Winchester wasn't the only mega haunted location that I got to tour while cruising around NorCal. Oh no. The area is full of interesting places to explore, and I scored a night tour at The Rock, aka Alcatraz Island. Yeah.
Nice.
It sounds better when Sean Connery says The Rock, not so much me, but...
Well, say it in your best Sean Connery.
Nope, I'm not even going there.
Wait, all you have to do is the Rock, right? Or are you talking Alcatraz Island?
That was pretty good.
I've practiced under Sean Connery for years, so we go way back.
So a couple of years ago, during my first trip to San Francisco, I did do a day tour of Alcatraz. And guys, if you are planning on visiting the Bay Area, you have to take this tour. They have an amazing audio tour that takes you through the cell blocks, which gives you like multiple stories from over the prison's history, and it's narrated by the actual guards that worked there.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, no, it's so fucking cool. And there's also a few inmates that also narrate sections of the stories. I highly fucking recommend this. Everyone. Like, it was me and mine, and then my sister and her kids, and we all loved it. And it's hard to impress fucking children with an audio tour. Plus, after the audio tour, during the day tour, you can explore the rest of the island, which includes several other, like, outer buildings. The island looks very much as it did the very day that the doors closed on Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary. It's so legit that my youngest almost got tetanus from broken glass in one of the old workhouse buildings. Because,
are you kidding?
You know, boys just see stuff. They're like, what's this sharp-looking glass? I wonder what happens when I touch it.
Oh, no. Trip to the emergency room for everyone?
No. Well, surprisingly, there was someone that works on Alcatraz that was inside this workhouse building, and I was like, do you have a Band-Aid? And they were like, no. And I'm like, you have broken fucking windows around here and you have no Band-Aids? I mean, like, Jesus Christ. I have to go all the way back to the boat to ask for a Band-Aid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Selfish. They had Band-Aids. It's all the broken glass and shit. They knew. They needed them Band-Aids.
They should have known, but I guess they thought, people will see this broken glass in this window and they won't touch it.
And not touch it? Nope.
The life of little boys, this is what they do.
Yeah. Our little angels.
Yeah,
Thank
I know.
God.
He's so precious. He did survive, though, and could not wait for this second tour that we got to take recently, I'm sure, so that he can touch more shit that he shouldn't. And it was just so exciting. But wah, wah, wah. The outer buildings are closed for the night tour, so you don't get to go out to those places. And I guess, given, what happened on our first tour, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I guess that does make a lot of sense. So was he super disappointed then going back? He's like, oh, man.
I wanted to go touch it. I shouldn't. So, no, they had a good time. So I don't think that they really noticed. On the night tour, your time is limited on the island. You get less time there. On the day one, you show up, and as long as you're on the last boat leaving out, you're fine.
Oh, that's nice.
On the night tour, they're like, you're arriving on the island at this time, and you're supposed to leave the island on this time. So be there or be square.
That's some Isles of Shoals bullshit right there.
It was, but they gave you more time than what we got on Isles of Shoals, for sure.
That's because they must not have any culties on the Alcatraz Island.
No, I guess not. So on the night tour, you don't have full access of the island. You are limited on your time there, but you still get the same amazing audio tour through the cell blocks. And of course, the fucking night tour is more expensive.
Why?
Because I know weirdos like myself will fucking pay it. Just for the chance to walk around a creepy old prison at night.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's all it took. And they're like, and give us $10 more or whatever. And I have to say, the extra cost, it was totally fucking worth it.
Ooh.
Because it's pretty fucking creepy there at night. And it's the biggest plus to the night tour is that less people are filtering through because there's only like 2 night tours. So as people filter through, because the audio tour kind of guides you through the cell block. And so they're leaving one space and they're going into the other. And then if you're like me and you're like, I've heard the audio tour before already. Not that I necessarily remember it, but I'm like, fuck that, and turn it off. And I start filtering backwards and back into the places that the people have already exited. And so then you get to walk these cell blocks kind of by yourself for a second.
Did you take like an audio recorder with you?
Absolutely.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I was full on, full spec, regular digital, camcorder, audio. And then every time I got a hallway or a little room by myself, I was on it with that video. I'm still reviewing all my evidence. So I've gone through my pictures. I don't see anything, just screaming at me that it's a spirit just standing there saying hello. But I'm still going through on my audio and my video. So maybe by the time that this is posted, I'll have something else to share with you. But it was really cool just in that moment to be alone in that space.
And it's dark. Did they have lights?
They always have to have lights on there, but they're very dim.
Oh, that's fucking creepy, dude.
It made the perfect setting. I cannot wait to share the pictures that I got from there and the video and everything because it was just so cool. Like I said, totally worth the extra money. I'd say experience both of them just like we did. Go for the day tour, but also go back again and for the night tour.
How long is the boat ride?
20 minutes maybe.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not like some Isles of Shoals shit. It's right across from the pier. So it's not bad at all. But like I said, it was really cool to be there at night. We all have to work for a living and that comes with stress and worry. And every once in a while, you get to have these moments that like none of that is on your mind. And you just kind of slip into another world. And that's what it felt like. Walking these halls with the lower light, the wind whipping through the old windows and just sitting exactly where inmates and guards had once lived out their like daily lives. And then also with the audio tour, like listening to their stories from them. I mean, it's pretty fucking perfect.
Yeah. Wow.
So Alcatraz has a long history dating back to just before the Civil War, where in 1853, the United States Army Corps of Engineers began fortifying the island to become Fort Alcatraz. When the American Civil War broke out in 1861, Fort Alcatraz was used to imprison Confederate sympathizers and privateers on the West Coast, but never fired its gun at any enemy.
Really?
No. It's just like the story I did on the fort in Washington. They built all these forts and then they kept making them like triangle situations too. So if somebody came into it, they got their asses from all different angles. Right. And nobody ever seemed to try to attack from that direction.
It was like a precautionary kind of a method. They were just like, all right, we're good over here just in case.
I get it. They're like, this is a coast. We need to take these precautions. Right. But it's nothing like what you got going on the East Coast. Sees all this action or like down in Florida and stuff, which is also the East Coast. But I don't know. It feels different because it's Florida.
It's Florida, right?
Yeah.
And they have gators. So.
Yeah. It's like a different world down there.
It's true.
In 1868, Alcatraz was officially designated as a long-term detention facility for military prisoners.
I love old prisons.
Yes. And you know what? Like I said, I already gushed all over this tour and told you how great it was. But I've seen Mansfield. We've been in Moundsville. I haven't been to all the prisons. I'm sure that there's still some great ones. I really want to see the Eastern State Penitentiary. I heard that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But the whole experience of Alcatraz with the island and then the cell block, it's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the cells were so tiny, which some of the cell doors will be open so that you can just go in there and like sit and stuff too. And like the solitary confinement cells are open. They really allow you to explore it. And that's what's really cool.
That's awesome. I don't want to go.
Let's go. There's another tour that we can take that I haven't taken. It's even more expensive though.
Of course. So it's got to have something extra.
Yeah. I did not realize that they have like a almost private tour situation that you could book. Whoa. And then so you get access to areas that other people don't. And I only saw that because it was going on. Like when we first got there and entered the cell house, there were people up on the second level. And so I'm like, what is that guy up there dressed in a guard's uniform? And who's he talking to? Who are these fuckers? There's like 15 people on the other side and he's walking them around. They get their own little private tour and get a whole different story and they get to go to different areas. And I was like, so how much does that one cost? Because I would have paid it.
You couldn't like monkey climb up the wall and be like on that tour official? Look, I've been here. I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
So I lingered underneath where they were at forever listening to what this man was saying, even though I had walked in like halfway through his spiel. And then a little later on, when I'm wandering around by myself, not with the crowd anymore, I start to walk into this room that I'm like, I think this room will be completely empty. No, that private tour was in there. And they were like getting another story or lecture. And there was somebody working for Alcatraz that was sitting at a desk right in front of that door that when I walked into that room, they go, hey. But you have headphones on because it's an audio tour. So I just pretended like I didn't hear her. I'm just like, she's not talking to me, I'm sure. But then I felt awkward walking in on there because they were all like sitting down listening so they could totally see this person just walking into the room. So I just kind of floated back out. I just did these weird turn and left.
It's so Three Stooges. That's so funny.
Yeah. That's exactly what it looked like, I'm sure. So back to the history lesson. In 1909, construction began on the huge concrete main cell block, which remains the island's dominant feature today. To accommodate the new cell house, the Citadel, the 3-story barrack, was demolished down to the first floor, which was actually below the ground level. The first floor was then incorporated as a basement to the new cell house, giving rise to the popular legend of dungeons underneath the cell block. They converted these dungeons, or old rooms on the first floor, into underground solitary confinement cells, which this area is not a part of the tour. The first time that we did the day tour, we never got to see cell block A. That has recently been open to the public. So on the night tour, we did get to see cell block A, and we have never seen this underground section, but my father-in-law on his day tour just scored an exclusive tour down into this area. He's just walking around taking pictures, and then they were like, hey, would you and you and you and you like to come downstairs and see an area that not many people get to see that we haven't made a part of the tour yet? And he's like,
why?
Yeah, duh.
Why did he get that? That doesn't make any sense. What the hell? Does he look like super unsuspecting? Like, how did he score?
He's Canadian, so yes. I mean,
Hey, you look ultra friendly. Would you like to come downstairs? Why, yes, I would. Thank you very much. And by the way, you also look very handsome today, sir.
I'm sure that's exactly the way that conversation went down. He just lucked up on it and he sent me a picture of the dungeons or the old solitary confinement cells.
You catch something?
As far as I know, there's nothing in it. He didn't point it out to me, and I need circles and shit. So I didn't see anything myself.
Wendy, get him an audio recorder for Christmas.
They should give gifts on Halloween, but
since it's too late for Halloween, then for Christmas.
Will do. He has a super nice camera, and he can always do some video recording on there, and then he would probably pick up something on his audio as well. But he just sent me a picture, which I can share and will share on social media with you guys. That is courtesy of Rick Schultz, by the way. It is not my photo.
That's badass.
And they seriously look like dungeons, too. I mean, it's pretty badass. So in August of 1934, Alcatraz became a federal prison designed to hold prisoners who continuously caused trouble at other federal prisons. Most of the prisoners were notorious bank robbers and murderers. Men were never sentenced directly to Alcatraz, but rather they had to earn their way onto the island through bad behavior at other facilities. Alcatraz sometimes was called the prison within the prison system. Good behavior could earn a convict a transfer to another federal institution, but almost never a direct release from prison. They always kind of had to have their step down before they were completely out of there.
I'm fine with that.
During the 29 years it was in use, Alcatraz held some of the most notorious criminals in American history, such as Al Capone, who spent 4.5 years on the rock.
My boy.
He was not other people's boy, though. He received no special privileges while he was there, and he was not a popular inmate either.
Yeah.
While working in the prison's basement, those infamous dungeons, an inmate standing in line waiting for a haircut stabbed Capone with a pair of shears.
That's probably because he was tired of Al Capone talking to the ghost in his cell.
Eventually, Capone became symptomatic with his syphilis. If you didn't know, that's how he died. It was a disease that he had carried for years and wasn't treating. And in early 1939, the authorities transferred him to Federal Corrections Institution, Terminal Island in Southern California.
Oh, okay. SoCal.
Other notable inmates were Robert Franklin Shroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Now, he earned his name while he was in a Kansas state prison, and he was allowed to keep a herd of birds or something that he was caring for. I mean, it started with one and then it gets carried away, just like cats,
Yeah, or Pokemon. You got to collect them all.
Right. But he killed a guard while he was there, and that ended his time there, and he got sent to Alcatraz, and he lost all his pet privileges. So even though he was called the Birdman of Alcatraz, he actually never kept any birds while on the island. Unless he was sneaking that shit, and nobody just knew about it. Because he was like, gotta have them.
Gotta have a bird.
Also, George Machine Gun Kelly, who was an American gangster from Memphis, Tennessee. Did you know he was from Memphis, Tennessee?
Nope.
I did not know that. Somebody to be proud of.
Aw, our heritage.
He was a gangster during the Prohibition era. Then there was Bumpy Johnson, an American mob boss and bookmaker from New York City's Harlem neighborhood. He was the main Harlem associate of Lucky Luciani. I almost said Charles Lucky Luciani, like you need his full name. We all know who he is.
I gotta know, was Bumpy his first name or was that a nickname?
That was a nickname. And I actually, for some reason, left out his first name. I have Lucky Luciani's first name as if you need
Charles.
it. But it was because he had a bump in the back of his head.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he was more like Lumpy, but he was Bumpy. Okay.
Yeah. What's his real name? Ilsenworth Raymond Johnson. Anyways, I could go on and on with this. There were several well-known mob bosses and members that did time here on Alcatraz. But the island also provided housing for the Bureau of Prison staff and their family. They had apartments, a school, a playground. I mean, this was a self-sufficient situation going on here.
I would want to live there?
They had to. It was like, I know I said earlier it was only a 20-minute boat ride, but that was too much to try to get kids to school and whatnot. So they provided everything for them right there on the island.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do when you're on the boat and your kid forgets his deodorant? It's not like you could stop off then.
Nope. There are 336 mainline cells and 42 solitary confinement cells in the cell house. But the prison was never full to capacity, though the average population was about 260.
Okay, close.
In all its years of service, the penitentiary claimed that no prisoners successfully escaped. A total of 36 prisoners made 14 escape attempts. 2 men tried twice. They must have thought they were doing really good the first time. So they were like, if only...
If we just backstroked at this point and then forward, maybe downward dog style through the rest of it. What the fuck were they thinking? That's ocean that they got to swim through, right? There's no like underground tunnel.
No, a lot of them don't even get that far. Like some of these escape attempts, they were just outside of their cell. They weren't even out of the prison house. 23 were caught alive. 6 were shot and killed during their escape. 2 drowned, and 5 are listed as missing and presumed drowned. Fun fact, you just mentioned about the whole ocean water shit. Although San Francisco Bay is teeming with sharks. Did you hear me? There are sharks.
Teeming, apparently.
But the majority of them are small species such as brown smooth hound sharks. I've never even heard of that. And leopard sharks that average only a few feet in length and have no interest at all in attacking people.
But they're like, okay, if it happens to come my way and it's bloody and it's like hitting me in the face, then I'll go ahead and eat it. Otherwise, they're not attacking anything.
They could bite you. They don't really seem too interested in necessarily eating you. They might bite you like a cat bites you to be like, get away. Stop it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and their teeth are pretty sharp. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, but great white sharks do exist in the Pacific Ocean. The water's right outside the gate. And though they rarely venture inside the bay...
I mean, what's stopping them?
Not much. It's just they just don't want to, I guess. I don't know. You would think that they would because there's plenty of food for them in that area with the sea lions all over the place. So in October of 2015, a great white shark was seen breaching and catching and eating a sea lion approximately 20 feet off from Alcatraz Island dock.
Well, they're tasty, so.
There's some pretty fucking fat ones out there, too. They're hilarious.
I don't want to go anywhere near them. They're angry and mean, and they'll come at you, won't they?
What is wrong with you? Yes, they will do all of those things, but they are so adorable.
No, I'm not going anywhere near a live animal that's not behind a cage.
Listen, so if you go to Southern California and go to La Jolla Beach, they're just right there. If you get too close to them, they will kind of chase after you for a little bit, barking, and they got sharp teeth, and they're letting you know they mean business. But then they give up so easily.
They're just kind of lazy, so it's fun to pick on them.
Oh, it is so fun. You just get a little close. You try to touch them. You try to take a picture with them. Look, I'm not telling anybody to do this because if you get bit by a sea lion, it's not my fault. But we did this, and it was entertaining as fuck.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, if I was a great white, I'd be like, that's a ton of food right there for me. That's Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
Yeah. So they say they never come into the bay, yet one was seen just in 2015. All these prisoners that are taking these chances to try to get out of there, you know, the waves are awful. The current is awful. And then now you got to deal with sharks too. It sounds like maybe you should just behave your fucking self and get out of this prison that's on the middle of these evil waters.
This beautiful white sandy beach.
So one prisoner did make it as far as the rocks beneath the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, he was there. He had made it. But he was pretty much unconscious and near death. They picked his ass up and took him right back to the island just 24 hours afterwards.
Where he died.
You know, I thought that I did read that he died, but I don't think he did. I think he made it. They nursed him back to health, and then he's just right back in the hell that he was trying to escape. So,
hey, good thing you're back to being healthy. Here's that slop you wanted for lunch. Now go clean the floors before I beat you. Oh, great to be alive.
Yeah. It's their own fault. You know, they were criminals.
Oh, yeah.
The most violent escape attempt occurred on May 2nd, 1946, when 6 prisoners overpowered a guard and took his gun, but they failed to get the keys to get out of the fucking cell house. So then they just run around and cause all kind of a ruckus. And this went on for 2 days. It was deemed the Battle of Alcatraz. It was pretty serious, though. 2 correctional officers, William A. Miller and Harry Seitz, were killed, along with 3 of the inmates that were involved in the escape. 14 corrections officers and 1 uninvolved convict were also injured. None of them died. They were fine. 2 of the surviving convicts were later transferred to San Quentin State Penitentiary for execution in the gas chamber because there were no forms of execution on Alcatraz. They didn't have those kind of facilities or anything. So they had to transfer them out to San Quentin to take care of that.
Wow.
And then the other remaining inmate, he only received additional time to his sentence. I guess he had a better lawyer.
Yeah, must have.
Because the penitentiary costs much more to operate than any other prison, and half a century of saltwater saturation had severely eroded the buildings, the Attorney General Robert J. F. Kennedy. Nope. What did I just throw a J in there for? Robert F. Kennedy ordered the penitentiary closed on March 21st, 1963. That year, the United States Penitentiary in Merriam, Illinois, opened as the replacement facility for Alcatraz.
Oh.
I know, like, that's kind of a bummer. I'm sure this is a very nice town and all that, but, like, they did have a view of, like, the city and the bridges and sea and saltwater smell. Yeah, now they're in just a field somewhere, probably.
Lots of corn to look at. That's nice.
On November 20th, 1969, a group of Native Americans called United Indians of All Tribes took over the island to protest federal policies related to American Indians. Some of them were children of Native Americans who had relocated to the city as part of the Bureau of Indian Affairs Indian Termination Policy. That in itself just sounds horrible. Who passed that?
Wait, Bureau of Indian what?
Affairs.
Indian Termination
Policy. So
wow.
What that was is it was a series of laws and policies aimed to assimilate Native Americans into mainstream American society.
Oh man, that sucks.
By encouraging Native Americans to move away from Indian reservations and into the cities.
What the fuck? Damn, dude.
Even in these times, they were still trying to be like, why don't y'all give that shit up?
I thought you said this wasn't a Thanksgiving Day podcast.
You know what? I just saw that. Yep, you're right. I guess I subconsciously did.
Man, but that is really fucked up.
So the occupiers who stayed on the island for nearly 2 years claimed the island by provisions of the Treaty of Fort Laramie between the U.S. and the Suez, which promised to return all retired, abandoned, and out-of-use federal lands to Native peoples from whom they were acquired in the first place. Indians of all tribes then claimed Alcatraz Island by the right of discovery, as indigenous people knew it thousands of years before Europeans had ever come to North America. Which means all those cool forts and fucking parks and shit that we like to go to, at some point, they probably technically should have been returned back to the Native American people, right?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of bullshit that the Europeans did.
But see,
not good.
And this was from 1868. So they could have been like claiming all this shit as it closed down. So somebody must have been in a good mood and they were like, you know what? Yeah, you can have it. When we're done with it, you can have it. It's cool. And you know, they didn't really mean that shit. As soon as they shut these places down, like Alcatraz, they're like, yeah, we're not using it. It's expensive to be out there. But the second somebody goes and occupies it, they're like, nah, bitch, that's ours. And they turned it into a park.
Yeah.
So during the occupation, President Richard Nixon rescinded the Indian Termination Policy. He established a new policy of self-determination, in part as a result of the publicity and the awareness created by the occupation. The occupation officially ended on June 11, 1971. Graffiti from that time period of the occupation is still visible on the island today. They were actually over there like burning shit and like destroying it. It's like, aren't you living there as well? Like,
they're protesting. I mean, they were pissed off and
getting
they were
people's attention. Yeah.
Right.
Which I support.
I support graffiti as well. I'm an artist.
Alcatraz became a part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area in 1972, and tours to the island began soon after that. And of course, I could have dug a lot deeper into this history lesson, and I could have gave you all kinds of details on the life of a prisoner or a guard on the island and tell you all the little messed up stories that happened there. It's a prison. Of course, it wasn't like unicorns and roses all the time. But I already told you, you got to take the tour. I mean, you got to get there one day and experience this. So I don't want to provide you any spoilers. And plus, you didn't come to this podcast for a history lesson necessarily, though we love to dish those out to you.
That's our thing.
You came here for the shit that they won't tell you on one of those audio tours.
That's also our thing. Yes.
Yeah, the ghost stuff.
Tell me that shit.
There are more stories about unexplained apparitions, ghostly sounds, and frightening experiences from staff and visitors to Alcatraz than there were ever prisoners to this infamous island lockup. Alcatraz is so haunted, the tales of the haunting have their own fucking Wikipedia page.
What?
You usually have to go to Wikipedia for the history, and then you have to dig around a whole bunch of places for the spooky stories.
Lots of digging.
Oh, it was just right there for me. So easy. I'll take that. Thank you.
Thank you.
During its time as a penitentiary, both inmates and guards reported a wide range of ghostly activity within the prison and around the grounds on the island. Many believe it to be haunted by the ghosts of Native American prisoners and the officers who perished on the island during the American Civil War and the days it was a military prison. Occupants of the prison reported seeing prisoners in 19th century garb walking the corridors in A block, which as a guard would approach this apparition, it would just disappear, as they always do.
I mean, that must be fun. It must be like, a build-up and it's like, hee.
It's going to be my total ghost move. Also in this area, the A block, that's where most visitors to Alcatraz frequently hear crying and moaning.
Oh, that's weird. Is it like female or male? I would assume male, right?
Oh.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they hear females crying too, which is like, why?
Why?
Why is it happening? But they hear crying and moaning as well as unexplained footsteps.
Okay.
And that trickles over into B block as well.
So I love the unexplained footsteps. As I just said, that's one of my faves. But the crying thing, that's wild because you're on an island. So it's not like there's many other things that it could be. It's not like you're in a neighborhood next to the woods where it's possible it's a coyote or, some other animal that's out there. What is crying in a jail that would be coming possibly from the ocean?
Nothing. It's ghosts. It's that simple. I mean, there should be nothing that's making crying sounds.
Yeah.
It's a residual energy left behind, a very powerful emotion replaying. I mean, I'm assuming that that's what it is. I don't think that it's like it's an intelligent spirit just sitting there still whining about the afterlife.
It's such a boring life. Yeah. Well, I just think it's interesting. As a skeptic, which I live with one, I'm trying to come at this with his perspective if I were to take this tour with him. And if he were to have heard that crying, like, what would he think that it is being out there on an island in the middle of the ocean? What else would it be?
Right.
Nothing.
A sea lion upset? No.
Are there fish out there that get upset?
There's lots of seagulls.
We know what the seagulls sound like because we hear them all the time.
Right.
They don't sound like they're weeping.
I think that's a pretty distinct sound. You're absolutely right. There was also a psychic that visited the island and reported encountering a malevolent spirit named Butcher in C Block, which is believed to be a former inmate, A.B. Mulderwitz, whose nickname was Butcher. He was murdered down in the laundry room on Alcatraz.
Ooh, scandalous.
Apparently he's not a nice guy.
Huh. Well, he was named the Butcher.
Yeah, I don't know how you get that nickname other than that was his trait before he ran a stop sign and went to jail. I don't know.
Right.
So
I love that. I'm hoping that becomes my nickname too. And be like, well, she must have been a real bitch. No, she just, sarcastic as fuck. But, whatever. She drank a lot. Otherwise... Yeah.
So, inmates have also reported hearing phantom gunfire and cannon blast
Ooh.
And people have reported, including guards, have reported smelling smoke. And then they go to that area and there's no sign of any issue of a fire or anything cooking and burning or whatever. And multiple times the fire alarms have gone off just on their own. There's no reason for them to.
Wow, these are some jokester ghosts, right? They're like, hee.
Well, you think if they were former inmates, they finally have some freedom and they're like, I can't wait to fuck with these people.
That's fun. I'm really, really digging these ghosts.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
They're pretty cool. Maybe except for that butcher guy. But she just said he felt bad. He didn't sound like he walked up and punched her in the face or anything. So
he's emotional. He's the butcher.
He's got an attitude. Big deal. Prisoners would report hearing sounds of whispering in the middle of the night and seeing blue floating lights and figures. Here we go with the blue lights again. Do you remember that from a couple of other stories?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I love blue lights.
There has to be something to that we have to dig in deeper. And if someone's listening to this and you know more about blue light apparitions or what blue might mean as an aura or something like that, please explain that to us. Because this is the third time we've seen this in a story.
Yes.
Prisoners also report hearing sounds of chains clacking in cells that they know to be unoccupied.
I like that also. That's fun.
This one's not so fun. In the 1940s, one inmate in D Block was reported to have told guards that he was seeing red glowing eyes in the dark of his cell. He screamed for hours that the creature was trying to kill him. He was found dead the following day with a purple face, bulging eyes, and unidentified strangle marks around his throat. This was in cell 14D, which many people now report feels icy cold within the cell, even during the summer months. And it always seems to be 20 or 30 degrees colder than anywhere else in the prison. Now, D Block is considered by paranormal investigators to have the most activity within the prison. 4 of the 42 cells in this area are thought to be haunted by unexplained voices and these cold spots. And that's cells 11, 12, 13, and 14, which also happen to be the newer solitary confinement spaces. So it has an iron door on the front, like solid iron door, instead of the bars. So they couldn't see out. They were only allowed to keep people up to 19 days within there, but they could keep them in pitch darkness for 19 days. So this man who thought he saw red glowing eyes and he was going bananas, he could have just been going crazy under these conditions, and he may have self-inflicted these things. He may have not. Maybe it's a demon at Alcatraz. I don't know. But we know what kind of like those kind of conditions can do to people now.
Yeah. So was there any type of material around that would have like shown that he was strangled to death or?
No. There should not have been. These were the cells that, if they were being punished, they got sentenced to. And there was nothing in the room. They got the bare minimum, like a mattress on the ground, maybe. So they shouldn't have had extra stuff in the room.
Okay.
So maybe he was hiding something. He obviously had clothes on. So, I mean, he's got something. And you also could do it with your own hands, too.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious.
No, that's a really good point, because I thought about that, too. He sounded like he could have just strangled himself. But guards initially laughed at the claims of ghosts by inmates, but as time progressed, some were reported to have experienced unusual activities themselves, including feeling cold spots again, and also unseen fingers on the back of their necks, and then hearing the crying in the cell block. That is weird.
Don't be touching me, man. Just don't. I don't like it. No, I'm sorry. I really do. I think that's my breaking point.
When they're touching you like that?
Yeah, don't touch me.
Intimate.
It's just like, okay, look. Okay, you want to poke me in the shoulder? Ugh, what was that? You want to, tug on my pants? Right, that's fine. But, across the back of the neck, the ear, or the head with this weird, we want to touch all over you? No. Stop that. don't.
So guards report these activities happening in the cell blocks, but they have also reported strange noises coming from the utility corridor. That is where the 3 inmates were shot during that failed prison escape attempt that caused the Battle of Alcatraz. And then the first warden of Alcatraz, James A. Johnston, was reported to have heard a woman sobbing while conducting a tour of the prison.
Oh, no.
Now, and there were families on the island, and you don't know for sure if there were ever women that maybe worked in the kitchen or whatnot or whatever.
Yeah.
I only said kitchen. I wasn't trying to be like, I just put that out there because it's the only space I could think that you would need to work.
How dare you?
Not like women have to be in the kitchen. Anyways, the warden's house, it is also reported to be haunted. Several guards saw a spectral of a man with mutton chop sideburns during a Christmas party at the warden's house.
When else would this guy show up?
Right. Once the guards had a little bit too much sauce.
I like that he had mutton chops and it's during a Christmas party.
So they said he was wearing a gray suit and a brimmed hat. So they believe that he was like from like 1800s style. Yeah.
No shit. That's the second time you've reported that, right?
Yeah. It seems like while the prison was in use, the prisoners and the guards felt like all the spirits were associated with what had happened before. You know, it wasn't necessarily like this inmate died, now I sense him here. It was like those past ghosts, you know. I guess maybe it feels less harmless to them.
Yeah.
In this situation during the Christmas party, they reported that it left an icy cold feeling throughout the room, and it also extinguished the fire that was burning in the wood burning stove.
Oh, please, please, please let that happen at my Christmas party.
That is a fucking cool thing. If you're like having a party and all of a sudden, whew, and the fire goes out.
Yeah. And everyone else is standing around while I run up to the thing with my full spectrum camera. Mini skirt and everything. Be like, just whatever. Just bring me another wine. I'm going to sit here for the rest of the night. Thank you. Someone bring my backpack. I've got a recorder in there.
That spirit was making an entrance for sure.
Nice.
But since the prison has closed, you get more reports of people kind of thinking that it has to do with the inmates that were once there.
Yeah.
Former inmate Leon Thompson, who worked as a guide to Alcatraz. There's a lot of inmates that used to like be here while they were in prison who have come back to Alcatraz to lead tours. Like when we were there for the day tour, there was a gentleman that had wrote a book and he was in the gift shop and he would just like sign the book for you and answer any questions and stuff too.
Tell me you got that book.
Did not. There was a line and I'm lazy and you know, I was just like, wow, that's crazy though that they would come back and hang out here. They should have hated it.
You would think, but you know, a lot of them, they didn't have much going on the outside, so that became their home, you know?
Well, also, and it's like, it's tough to find work, so why not write a story about it and then be a part of these tours? Like, that's awesome for them.
Become part of the history.
Yeah, I'm assuming that these are the non-violent-ish inmates. I don't really know. I'm just going to tell myself. They're old and they're not really up to any no good no more.
No more. I'd still go and get that fucking signature, though, just in case.
But Leon, he was on Alcatraz to be a guide, and he did this for many years. One time in 2005, while he was on the island, and he had gotten there before everybody else, and he was just waiting for his tour group to show up, he stated that he felt like he was being watched by spirits there.
Ooh.
He claimed to have seen a large, dark figure at the end of the Michigan Avenue corridor. He saw the apparition walk around the corner and out of sight.
That's crazy.
That little trick, you know, come here, bye, you know. Peace. Sneaking off. Thomas rushed to the end of the corridor, but nobody was there. He believes that this ghost was the spirit. He felt it in his bones, he said. That this was the spirit of his friend, an inmate that was there with him in Alcatraz during his years, named Johnny Haas, or Big Texan is what they called him.
Yeah, Big Tex.
He had not seen this gentleman since he had left Alcatraz back in October of 1962. He said, I don't care what anybody says, that was Johnny Haas. Like, he
man.
knew it.
He knew it.
He said from the way the apparition kind of walked, I guess must have reminded him suddenly of this gentleman, and then just his height, because he was a big guy.
And that feeling that you get.
Yeah.
You just recognize it. You just know it. That's wild. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty neat. Big Texan.
Yeah. Next, Ranger Lori Brosnan has said that many visitors have reported feeling a cold chill. There's a lot of cold spots on this island when walking through the shower room. And one visitor reported feeling, you don't want that kind of feeling in a shower.
No. Nope.
And one visitor reported feeling fingers on the back of his neck. Here we go again.
No.
Those inappropriate touches.
Stop it.
He turned around, but nobody was there.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, in the showers in a prison,
yes,
you feel fingers on the back of your neck. Okay.
You don't want to actually face that person if you can.
I'm with you.
Some, including Ranger Lori, also report the sound of a banjo playing in the shower area, which you would think is really odd. However, this is believed to be Al Capone himself, who spent his time at Alcatraz playing along with the prison's banjo band.
Did it go a little something like this? That's
exactly how it sounded.
I'm a little off key. Better.
I like it.
Okay.
So due to fearing that he would be killed if he dare play his banjo out in the open, he practiced in the showers. That's why many people, not just Ranger Lori, have heard banjos playing in the shower. Ranger Lori also reported unexplained sounds such as cell doors moving in the night when the vices were locked tight and only she had the key.
Nice.
Other rangers have also reported doors opening on their own accord, whispering sounds in the cells, and sounds of a harmonica. So I guess there was a harmonica band too. Ghostly voices from the hospital ward have also been reported, which, you know what? The hospital ward is not on the tour. And I bet it's on that damn private tour I want so bad.
You said it's an additional $10?
No, for the private one, I'm not sure. There were only 15 people on it, so I bet it's kind of a pretty penny.
Oh, yeah.
George Machine Gun Kelly, our homeboy, has been reportedly sighted in the prison's church. Of course he would. He's from the Bible Belt. And another mobster inmate, Alvin Creepy Carpus.
Stop it. I'm Creepy Chris.
I read about him a bit. It's funny. It said he got his start in his criminal life selling pornography and other like illegal things when he was only like 12 years old or something. But he got his name Creepy because of his smile. So he must have been legit Joker style. Something that's just like, you're not right, sir. If that's the name that he got.
That's no.
Yeah. You can go hang out with him in the prison's bakery and kitchen.
Nope.
One visitor and his wife have claimed to have heard canaries singing in what was the cell of Robert Shroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz, and have seen him. They said they saw him sitting on the bed as well, reading a book. Yet, like I said, Shroud was never permitted to have birds while at Alcatraz. So I don't know if this bird singing was in his heart and his soul, and that's how it's emanated into his cell block.
Beautiful.
Because he didn't have any canaries there.
Did he have a window in his cell?
No, not at all. And also one of those things that, like, if you took your skeptic partner to the island and he heard birds singing within the cell block, it would be like, where's that coming from?
Right.
And how?
Seagulls don't sing. They squawk.
Yes.
Yeah. But he would be like, yeah, I heard birds. And I'd be like, that's weird. In a jail at night on an island.
Shouldn't be happening.
Right. Tell me more about these birds.
So in 2014, Sheila Sillery Wash from Birmingham, UK, while on tour on the island with her partner, Paul Rice, snapped a photo from her iPhone and captured a photo of a ghostly woman whom they dubbed the Ghost Woman of Alcatraz.
Come on.
And I got to send you the photo.
I'm sorry. I love cell phone pictures. Someone wasn't setting up shop with all of their fucking gadgets, their thousands of lenses or whatever. They're just like, they're on tour and they're just taking pictures.
Yeah.
Unsuspecting.
Just not even trying. The couple claims that they had no intention of capturing a photo of a spirit during their trip. Of course they didn't. They never do. We do, but they don't. And they're just snap, snap, snap. This is fun. And then they get that. What I just sent you.
Nice. That's a great one.
Where did this come from? They weren't even trying.
And that's a woman.
Yeah. This is the visitation window. So that would make sense. This is where inmates would sit and speak with any loved ones or anything.
Shit. Wendy, can you imagine looking back? It's like, I'm just looking through my pictures. And then that happens.
That is when I'm like, bam, I am the best paranormal investigator. I wasn't even trying.
Jackpot.
Yeah. This is an amazing photo. This hit the news and everything.
Did it?
Yeah.
Dang.
So, I mean, I did not find anybody disputing this and trying to explain how this could have happened. And obviously, the woman in this photo, she doesn't look like as if she's dressed for today, you know?
Well,
this was 2014.
Her face also looks strangely bloated. I mean, it looks like it's like floating. It doesn't look like it's actual skin and bone. I mean, it's a weird bubble shape face.
Yeah.
Her forehead's disproportioned with her cheeks, and it's weird.
Yeah. It's distorted, but just like her hair and everything, this is not how women wear their hair today, too.
I mean, I don't know. I got my hair done like that right now. No. I see what you're saying. It totally looks like, like 1920s?
Yeah, like pinned up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting photo. These people were very lucky.
No shit.
They weren't even trying.
That's gold. That is gold, man. And it made the news?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Also, somebody not trying and got a pretty awesome photo. That is Christina Castillo, an RN, who was visiting the island with her daughter and one of her daughter's friends back in July. So this one is not as clear as the first photo I sent you, but if you zoom in and look in the driver's seat of the vehicle, there's someone in there.
You didn't have to give me an explanation. There's a woman sitting there, it looks like to me.
Wow, that's funny that you say woman, because that's exactly what they say as well. They say a woman. And I was like, I can't make out that that's a woman necessarily. But yeah, that's totally how they described it, that there was a woman sitting in the vehicle. You cannot get in this vehicle.
Damn. Well, somebody was, but it was a spirit.
Their face looks jacked up too, as if it's not fully formed or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm staring at right now. It's the mouth is in a weird spot, as well as the eyes and the nose. It is not completely formed. And I don't know why, to me, right away, it seemed feminine. It seemed like a female.
That's so interesting that you did that. I did not include it because I was like, how do you know it's a woman? Apparently, I'm really bad at this.
But I'm just like, yeah, I see her. There she is.
Yeah.
Weird. You can't tell. You don't see any physical features. There's no way of just looking at this blob in the car and there's nothing there justifying it being a male or a female.
But you totally picked up on that, and it's the same thing that she did too. That's how she put that picture out there, is by saying this woman in this truck.
It's not as great as the previous picture because the other one has features, and it's clearly a woman. But this other one in the truck, I mean, there's somebody sitting there, dude. And you just said people aren't allowed in that truck. So,
yeah. And, this is the asshole that I am. If it's too good, I don't believe it. So the first one, I'm like, what cardboard cutout did they have on the other side of this?
Right. How did they produce this?
But I'm more likely to believe Christina's photo from the truck because I'm like, yeah, that's weird.
Right. Because it's distorted.
Yeah.
There's no complete clarity on who's sitting there. And yet it blends so well with the rest of the image that it's not obvious that somebody would have added that to the picture. It's just someone sitting there. It's very clear.
Yeah.
But when you look at the other one that's super, super clear, it's like, okay.
That's lazy Photoshop there. You didn't even try to hide her. No. No. Like I said, both of these photos are out all over the internet. We've shared them on social media so that you can see them as well. But they are not our photos. But from what I can tell, I did not see anybody necessarily disputing them as well. So I'd love to get your opinion on it, or for you to update us and tell us, oh yeah, they found out those people are full of shit. Whatever you got to say about it, tell us. It's not our photos. You're not going to hurt our feelings. But these were the 2 best photos that I found out there. And of course, this is Alcatraz. It's a popular tourist destination. It's been around for quite some time as a park. There's been multiple paranormal investigation teams for TV purposes that have been to this island. I'm not going to recap everything they've been through. They got some EVPs, they got some weird feelings. There you go. It's all the same shit that other people that lived it, that worked there, that had experienced, So there's tons of people that have been there. And even today, there's tons of people like myself going on the island with all their equipment and trying to do what they can to investigate. So you can go on YouTube and you can see a lot of people they're on night tours, day tours, and they're trying to get off into these little spots just like I was by themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And some are lucking up and getting some little EVPs and whatnot. But these photos that we're going to share with you, they were the best evidence that we could put on social media. Other than that, you could always go to YouTube and find tons of videos on Alcatraz. Hopefully, like I said, by the time we post this, maybe I'll have something that I can share with you from mine. Yeah. So like I said, Alcatraz, it's an awesome tour experience. It's cool history, then it's dark history. It's got something for everyone. But just real quick, if that wasn't enough paranormal for you, don't forget, I said the Bay Area was full of cool places to explore. So I can't end this podcast without telling you about a super sweet fort that we didn't even know was there. We had to kill some time before we were going to like some other thing. And so we wanted to find a spot that we can get like the best picture of the Golden Gate Bridge. And so we parked down by Fort Point. And when you're outside of Fort Point, it looks like an old rundown warehouse that's just underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. And you're like, I guess we'll go inside and look at it. Maybe there's a bathroom I can use. There isn't a bathroom, but inside... It is the coolest fucking fort I've ever seen. You walk in and all of a sudden it's like a totally different world. The outside does not do it justice at all. You walk in and it's open and it's got these long, dark, creepy hallways and these winding castle-like steps. And it's set up all museum-like. So inside it was this whole museum experience. And it also had this real raw area to it that was like creepy and dark corners and stuff. And I was like, this is the best. Can we stay here forever? But we were supposed to be going somewhere else. So we only got about an hour in this fort. I ran around and took so many damn pictures. And all I kept thinking is, this fucking place has to be haunted. There's no way it's not. It's a fort. It looks creepy as hell. It's underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, which is said to be haunted. It's also a part of the Presidio Park, which is said to be haunted.
Right.
I did go and immediately start researching if this fort was haunted. And it was really hard to find any people with like hardcore evidence. It is underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. It is right by the bay. There is a ton of noise pollution. Yeah. Wind is blowing through there like it could blow your ass over. It's crazy. It's nuts. So like getting EVPs and stuff is difficult, yet some people have still accomplished this.
Oh, kudos to those guys.
Yeah, they really worked at it.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people do go down there and investigate. It's said that the Golden Gate Bridge is haunted, so a lot of people hit this spot near Fort Point to see if those spirits are lingering. I guess because it's the closest land spot. But also being an old fort, it's got a long history. It was a naval fort and it was built during the gold rush. It was active during the Civil War and all the way up until the end of World War II. It is believed to be haunted by those who lost their lives jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, like I said.
That's a lot of fucking souls to be haunted by. Doesn't that hold the highest number of suicides?
Yes, you know that because you said that.
Because I'm sick.
No, that was a part of when you were talking about the Lincoln Park in Chicago and their suicide bridge, and that San Francisco ranked the highest. So, of course, when I was in San Francisco, we were underneath this bridge. Of course, I had to share that tidbit of information with my family that I was with. And it's not just my kids and Carl. It's my father-in-law and his wife as well. And they're like, oh, really?
And you're like, hold on a second. You're not listening to the podcast?
No, he's a total loyal fan. I appreciate him very much.
Teasing.
So Investigators have caught disembodied voices, and they claim to have photos of a bunch of orbs, which, you know. What I mostly was watching about this location was from Hitchhiker's Ghost Paranormal Investigation. They're on YouTube, so you can check out their videos. But yeah, Fort Point, check that out as your little stop before you go check out the sea lions. And then you get on the boat and you go on to Alcatraz. And it's just an awesome day in San Francisco there. There's your full day.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Do you have any food recommendations too?
I had some fish tacos. You know, I am in Southern Arizona and they do tacos 100% right. But I guess I was missing that spice. It wasn't as spicy for me. I did have some fish and chips that were good, and that's all I can think of. Pretty dull.
I love fish and
chips.
Okay, so first of all, I knew that you were going to Alcatraz. I know that you'd been to Alcatraz before. This place is just a web to me. It's amazing. I know all about Al Capone. I know there's been a ton of very mysterious people there, and I just want to go and spend like a month at this location. You know, I just kind of feel like sometimes there's so many places that like if I could just be kind of like a tour guide and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Here's the history. Here's some tours. I can amp it up. I can be social. I can maybe sell it out for you, you know, during the day. And then at night, let me just do my own investigation thing here. This is one of those places that I think would be amazing. It just seems like there's so much going on there, Wendy. I didn't even know about the guy from Memphis being there. That's wild. That's like bring it on home for us, right?
Right. I should have stressed that while I was there. You know, I should have found out what his cell was and hung out. But it was just, it's a really, really cool location, and you really get wrapped up in just the history and kind of exploring the building and everything. They do so well at telling you the story there that it's like you waver between, I want to explore it like it's a haunted prison, and then I just really want you to tell me stories. You know?
Yeah, I know.
So, but it is a must-see location, and it would be an awesome location to stay at.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got a lot of places like that, our wish list, but also the fact that you went to that fort that was underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. That's fucking wild, dude. That fort seems awesome.
It really was.
That's cool. I'm glad that you did that episode. I'm so glad that you did that story. That's super cool that you shared that with us.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I like talking about it. and that's it. That's all I got for you. I mean, we got to cut this shit off at some point. So
well, that sounds like a great place to cut it off.
Right. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to have tons of photos that I can share on social media that I took myself. And then we'll share the 2 paranormal photos that we got off the internet, not mine, unless I find my own. In the meantime, I'll work on that. And you can go to our forms of social media on Facebook and Twitter. We're COTN Paranormal. And then on Instagram, it's COTN_paranormal. And then if you've got your own story, because like I said, there's billions of people that seem to tour this island all the time. If you've got your own story from Alcatraz or Fort Point, then you can email us at creaturesofthenightparanormal@gmail.com and share that story with us, and we'll share it on the podcast. If you're not into the whole email thing, I know it's annoying to type email addresses. I find that annoying myself. So I really do, actually. So if you want to direct message people, not people, but us.
Us people.
Yeah, us people. Then you could do that on all those forms of media as well. There's always an option to do that. And you can send us your stories, or you can just communicate with us, whatever you want to do. Also, please rate and review our podcast, because we're going to keep sucking at this until you tell us to improve it in some way. So,
or until you tell us how to wrap that shit up, because we still haven't ended this yet, and there are still free stickers that are out there, right? And if you send us a DM or an email and tell us how to wrap this shit up, then you could find yourself the lucky new owner of a sweet new sticker.
Who doesn't like free stuff? Come on, help us out here. Maybe they like the way that we do it, though.
I think that's what we're getting at. So I need all the free stickers because I got to decorate.
I'll send you some stickers.
Tell us how to wrap this shit up. We just say peace.
The end. Goodbye.
Goodbye.